Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
Diamonds in the sunset, now your time has come.
All right, 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Last year, we went to the Ocala Library, and it was like the books came to life, because the whole library was not only filled with books, it was filled with authors. It was the 2012 Book Feast, and Robin and I went over there. Not only did we meet we meet a lot of authors actually in what we do here on the radio. We meet them in person, as we're doing right now in just a minute. We also meet them on the phone, and it was such a cool event to see everybody congregated in one place at the library, and the library had such a fabulous idea when they decided to do this, and it was so successful that they're doing it again. The thing I keep trying to reiterate about the Book Feast, it's very brief. It's only a 3-hour event, and it's on April 13th. It's a week from Saturday. The 2013 Book Feast is from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Some of the authors that you hear on our show will actually be there in person, and we have two of them in the studio right now. Bill Crowell is with us. He is a soldier. I would assume that means veteran, unless you're still
I have been
a soldier. Okay. A journalist, a teacher, a biographer, an historian, an artist, and his book, at least one of them I only know about it, is called Wharf Rat. It's the Jamie story. It's a memoir based on Bill's boyhood in Nova Scotia, I believe. And so we're going to find out about that. And Pastor Herb Agee? Agee, I'm sorry, Herb.
Right.
And they call you Padre? Are you a Catholic priest? Is that why?
No, I'm. That's a nickname I got in the biker community down where I live.
But I see you're wearing a collar.
Yes.
It says here you're an assistant pastor. Oh, here it is. Now I know you're not a Catholic priest. You're a pastor at the Englewood United Methodist Church in Englewood here. A former police officer. Wow. And hospital chaplain. A biker.
I love that.
You know, Robin is a biker chick, by the way.
Wonderful.
A columnist and an author himself. His book is called The F Word is Forgiveness. My F Word is Forgiveness. And it's his memoir of shared human experiences and emotions. I love that. I am really enjoying getting to meet the authors in person. We so often speak to authors on the phone, and that's always fun, too. Bill Crowell and Pastor Herb Padre Agee. Agee. Aye. How many times I got to rehearse a name?
Most people get it wrong anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you guys for coming in. Good to see both of you.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, this is exciting for us as readers. Is it exciting for you as authors to be participating in the Book Feast?
Of course.
Yeah?
First time I've ever done this, so I'm really excited, especially since we just moved to Ocala, because I'm becoming a hospice chaplain for Hospice of Marion County.
Is that right? Wow.
So we slept in Ocala for the first time last night.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So you really are new to the area.
And my first chapter of my book was written when I moved to Englewood, and it's called Cardboard Purgatory. And we live there again in a house full of cardboard boxes.
I got you. No, your Cardboard Purgatory in the chapter, what was that like? What was that about?
Well, it was about moving to Englewood.
Oh, okay.
And I had... The book actually came from leaving my hospital where I was a chaplain, and everybody wondered why I was leaving, so I started writing why, and they asked me to continue writing, so I just kept writing stories about the move and about things that were going on in my life, and it eventually became a book.
And as a minister, you're probably writing all the time as sermons and things like that, right?
And newsletter articles and things like that, yes.
Okay. And so was this... a way to do something different than that, or is this similar to writing a sermon?
It was different. This people tell me that the chapters make them think it feels like I'm talking to them. So it's an easy read, and it's probably about on a third grade level, because that's about where I talk.
I don't know about that. I don't think that's true. We'll kind of delve into that a little further. Bill, let me ask you about your book. It says here your boyhood in Nova Scotia. That's pretty fascinating. In a fishing town, right?
Yes. I had quite a few years there, about age 6 to 16, in a fishing village, a small town in southwest Nova Scotia. Earlier than that, I'd been in Boston and 1 year in New York, but most of these stories are very rural, small town and rural. I had boyhood, I would say much like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. But I think all small towns are quite a bit the same. Hannibal, Missouri, Lockport, Nova Scotia, and Peyton Place all have similarities.
Well, that's probably true. Climate makes a big difference, though. Nova Scotia, and now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm imagining this is colder than, for example, rural Florida.
Yes, but summers are
Pretty much the same?
Pretty good, much the same.
Okay.
And with winters you have good time
So
hunting and fishing and this sort of thing.
Now, 6 to 16, that's a crucial time in
It
our
is.
lives. That's when we kind of, when you speak to people who are 80, they are always, and we're doing the same thing. We're 58. We're remembering things when we were 16. It's weird that for some reason those memories are so vibrant for us. We do a game where we try to identify songs from when we were 17. And if you tell me when you were 17 and I find your songs, and you'll probably know all of them just by me playing like 10 seconds of them. Yet, you know, my 17-year-old songs might be different than Robin's and yours. You know, it's kind of weird.
Very different.
So when in growing up,
Mine was the big bands of World War II area, you see. So your grandfather's time, maybe.
you don't look
Wow.
that you could be a World War II era.
Your artwork in the book is phenomenal. I love the illustrations because
Thank you.
you have such a feling with your words, with your writing. But when you look
I
at the
was an art
illustrations,
teacher.
there's another
Yes.
feeling.
Art teacher.
Yes.
Oh wow. So what was your
I did graduate studies at Florida State for a year.
really?
Yeah.
So was that your career? You were a teacher?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
One of my careers, yes.
Is the book new? Is
Yes.
The war
Oh, yes.
It's a new book. Okay. Is this your first book?
No,
Oh,
I've
okay.
done several books.
Okay. Were you writing? What age group were you teaching to?
I've taught every grade from kindergarten to third-year university.
You were a kindergarten teacher?
Yes. With
Oh, wow.
art, with art, I was doing everything.
Oh, I see. Yes,
and
I see.
and then I've done these other grades.
Oh,
and
okay.
college levels.
My F word forgiveness. I love that title.
Well, it was.
It's fun. It's fun for me as a radio announcer because I could pause.
My F word.
Yeah.
Yeah, forgiveness. That's one of the chapters. Actually, the people pick up the book and they think it's kind of a religious book, but it's more of a humorous book. Most of it is, like I said, is the stories of my move and the stories of my life, and there's just very little religion that peeks through every now and then. But the final chapter is my F word is forgiveness.
You know, the other day I was at a fast food restaurant somewhere we went, and I heard a young lady behind in the back where they make the food saying to somebody, "Well, we all make mistakes." I guess she made a mistake, and she was trying to say, you know, we all make mistakes. But I heard that line, "We all make mistakes," and I thought, wow, that is really true. We all make mistakes, so therefore, we all need to be forgiven. And again, I'm not trying to be religious,
No.
but I'm just trying to say a way to move on from whatever it may be that you're trying to move
The
on
idea
from.
of the chapter is that most people won't say the F word out in public, and so they've had to make up something to take its place. And to me, the word forgiveness is almost like that. You don't hear that word very often out in public because it makes people uncomfortable, and so it makes them feel like either, oh Lord, I need to forgive somebody, or I need to ask someone for forgiveness, and so it's just a word that makes people uncomfortable nowadays, the same way the F word would make people uncomfortable in some public settings. So.
Can you imagine using forgive in place of the F word? I mean, can you imagine somebody does you wrong and you say, "Forgive you"? Oh, yeah, it has a nice ring to
Well,
it.
it does, but it would be out of place in.
It's like the word bless
in
instead
some
of the word
settings.
damn. You know,
Yeah.
people.
Bless
you
you.
say, yeah, bless you.
Yeah.
It actually helps, doesn't it? It might soften the mood or something. Yeah.
Forgiveness has an amazing capability to change somebody's life. Either by being forgiven, or if I've done something to you and you've carried a grudge, at some point where you are willing to forgive me, or I will come to you and say, listen, I am really sorry. Will you forgive me? And that changes the relationship that we have had, that's been broken
right.
between us.
So forgive me for this. You may have said this and I forgot. Where did you move from?
Moved from. Actually, was living in Orlando, but I was working at a hospital in Rockledge, Florida, over by Cocoa Beach.
Okay. And where did you grow up?
Grew up in South Carolina.
Oh, okay. So your 6 to 16 period was in South Carolina.
Very rural South Carolina.
Also rural. Let's see. The only thing I know in South Carolina is Chester. Was it anywhere near Chester?
Nope. Down further south. It was a little town called Barnwell, South Carolina.
Okay.
Town of 5,000, but we were the county seat, so.
Oh, okay. Well, that's always good. It's good to be the county seat.
And Bill, since you were growing up, I know sometimes parents like to be overbearing to their children and try to point them in a certain direction. They mean well, but they don't really like to expand on what the child wants and his talents. How did you manage to bring forth all of your talents? Because you have such a versatile background. It takes a lot of courage.
My father was a school principal. My mother was kind of a student, and she had 3 children. And anyway, she wanted to keep me close to home, and yet my father said at one point, "No, you can go play with whoever you want to." He was more diplomatic than she was. She was more of a snob.
Oh.
But anyway, I had a lot of freedom, and I had more freedom than they knew, because
oh, really?
I was on the second story, but I
had a rope.
there was an old cane there. I would just hook that cane under the gutter, and I could go out.
Oh, wow.
Come home. When I was a little later, this was more like 16, but I would be out that window and gone, and yet things like that. My mother didn't realize that I was at the wharves as much and that sort of thing. Wharves, bowling alleys, pool parlors. And
What is a wharf, actually? I should know this.
Wharf, it's a dock.
Just a dock. Okay, it's just another word for a place where boats...
But in those days, there were fishing boats coming in from the Grand Banks and this sort of thing. That's what's pictured there. That's a Grand Banks fishing schooner.
Okay.
And anyway, they... she didn't want me in places like that. And so I learned to say, when she said, "Where have you been?" "Nowhere." "What'd you do?" "Nothing." That became...
Oh, no.
Nice.
Oh, no. Okay, so you learned how to lie?
Quickly.
Self-preservation.
The sailors taught him that.
Which is why she didn't want you to go down there. So, I have a question for you, Bill. When we... As we get older, sometimes we want to go back. We kind of wish there was a time machine. We always talk about this. I'm wondering if this isn't the answer to that. It's the next best thing. You can't go back, but when you immerse yourself in writing about the past, are you there mentally?
It's cathartic. My wife was talking about my current bad memory, and she says it's so good for the older things. Anyway, it's cathartic, and it helps get over it.
And do you ever get tired of, when you are immersed in the past as you're writing about it?
Yeah.
Does it kind of satisfy your need to be there, and then you can say, okay, it's 2013, I'm ready to be today until for a while. So does the writing of a book like this happen in spurts as opposed to sitting down and writing the whole thing at once?
It's it's work. You have to rough it out, and it, as Hemingway said, the first draft is the S word, and then you go back and fix it, and fix it again, and
I was trying to figure out a way.
It's a process.
I was trying to think of a commonality between the two authors today, and I got the S word from you, the F word from you. All right, we're going back and forth today. Usually this is not how we do it, but it seems to be working today. Herb, when you are when you were writing your book, you've got a humorous approach to it. But as a minister, did you feel compelled to have a message?
No,
Not at all.
not at all. I was writing back to people that knew me, and they loved reading my stories. People that don't know me, what the book does, they've told me, is it reminds them of their own stories, so that it brings back their memories of just things that they've done,
So
things that
it's-
they do, their children. There's some about my son, and so it's just a sort of an everyday read.
So it's another commonality with Bill.
Yeah, it brings back memories.
And did that happen for you too, where
It
you
did.
sort of kind of went back in time while you were immersed in the writing of whatever you were writing?
well, what I was writing was what was happening at the moment.
oh,
So
these are old stories.
No, I actually started that in about 2005 or 6.
Uh-huh.
And someone interviewed me not long ago, and they said, "What is your writing process?" And I said, if I had known I was writing a book, I would have never gotten around to it because
Oh wow, I like that.
because
yeah.
I procrastinate. But I was writing stories back to people that knew me and loved me, and so the stories just kind of compiled, and then people started saying, "Why don't you put these in a book?" And we would like to keep them all together. And
Yeah,
so that's how the book came about.
We went up to Marjorie Kinnan Rowling's home. Have you guys been up there at all?
Not
okay.
yet.
Well, in her
Nice.
porch, you just got here. On her porch, they have, it's a historical site now, so her typewriter is still sitting there.
Wow.
And you can imagine, and we're all old enough to remember typewriters. So I know that, but
We still have one.
it's
sitting right
just
there.
it just seems like because I write the news is the extent of my writing, and it's like when you make a mistake, okay, you delete it, you move things around. It's kind of easy. You're not throwing paper away and having to retype whole pages, and you just imagine the whole. I guess the tediousness of writing from days gone by is almost gone. I mean, the speed at which you can put together a manuscript is probably greatly enhanced, I'm guessing.
And you can even use Dragon Speak or something like that, and just dictate into your computer, and it will write it for you.
Do you like doing that?
No.
Oh, I often thought that would actually make it less than good, because when you're writing, your mind has time to think of a better word
Right.
than when you're speaking.
I wrote most of those sitting on my couch with my feet up, a laptop in my lap, watching a hockey game. So that's how most of those stories were written after I moved here.
Oh, well.
And that's a wonderful depiction of your book because of the levity of which you wrote it in. And it is because people need a lot of levity these days.
Oh,
You have to learn to
I
smile
love-
and laugh.
I love to laugh.
Agee, right?
Agee.
Herb Agee is who you're listening to right there. His book is called My F Word is Forgiveness, and Bill Crowell is also in the studio. Wharf Rat, the Jamie stories, is his book. Who's Jamie?
Jamie is the alter ego.
Oh.
That's Bill Crowell in his younger times. But you see, this book is fiction. So, and although some of these stories are
Well, you learned to lie,
They're
so
they're absolutely true all the way. Others have got considerable fictionization.
okay. And is there a reason you fictionalize it, just to make them better reading, or?
As I've said here at one point, the work it's a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are the product of the author's imagination, and any resemblance to actual events, locales, or persons living or dead is coincidental. But here's a map of the
Yeah.
town. It's got a fictional name and a couple of other little things like that.
You see, he really had a very boring childhood. He had this was fun for him.
When you created the illustrations, were those illustrations that you have created over the years, or did you specifically make them for the chapters in the book?
They were specifically made for this, and it was kind of fun. One of the quickest and not one of the best, but one of the ones I kind of like in this one of the New York story, the abusive teacher leaning over, taking a swing at the student
Oh no!
in the front seat. It's It's a sloppy, quick drawing.
Oh.
But I kind of like it anyway.
A sloppy crick drawing.
No, I think they're wonderful.
Now,
Very meticulous.
Bill, Herb said that he writes for younger readers. I'm sure adults are going to enjoy his reading. Did you have a demographic in mind as you were writing?
That's kind of a puzzle, because these were most of these stories. A lot of these stories were published in magazines for adults, and the Canadian Authors Association publication and the Canadian Teachers Federation. They were published in adult venue, but I think the book would be very good for middle and upper grade students at school.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'd like to see that group take an interest.
well, how many Harry Potter books are read by adults? A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that there's really a big divide. I mean, some of the really young books obviously aren't probably going to be enjoyed by adults, but a lot of the young reading books, and the older, the books that are not intended for young readers are enjoyed by the young ones too. It depends on them. It depends on their level. I don't know that we really have a grasp on who likes what anymore.
A good story is usually can cover a lot of ground.
Do you guys have the books available as ebooks?
Yes.
They are available as ebooks.
Mine is,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Mine's on CreateSpace and Amazon.com, but I haven't got it on the e-book yet, but
Okay,
I intend to.
Okay, yeah. And what about audiobooks? Does that happen for you guys? And
No.
You both have good speaking voices. And
Not yet.
I told people just to read it out loud. That'll work. One woman told me, said it is a read aloud book. She said, I'm reading it to my husband so that we can laugh together, rather than separately.
Oh, wow, that's
So-
a great idea. Yeah. Well, I've heard of people doing this. They'll be in the car,
Right.
and they're shifting back and forth as they're on a long trip, and
Right.
one reads while the other drives, hopefully. Not the other way around.
How do you ask a person to forgive themselves if somebody did them wrong and that person's out of the picture, but you're still carrying this emotion about it? How do you have that particular person just forgive themselves and forgive them?
It's a very difficult process, and it's something that they have to work through. Counseling sometimes helps, but it's even with that, it is not easy for people to forgive themselves. As parents, we accuse ourselves of everything that might have gone wrong with our children, and it's very difficult to realize that I didn't mean to do that. That it's something that happened, but it wasn't on purpose. I didn't plan to
Yeah.
ruin my child.
Right.
And,
The girl from McDonald's, we all make mistakes.
Yeah, we do all make mistakes.
Yeah. Were either of you part of the is it Book Feast? I always forget
Book
what it's called.
Feast,
The Book
yeah.
Feast. Last year, were either of you part of it? No. I think you will enjoy it. I think that the library did such a great job last year, having never done it before. And
This is the second year.
this is right, isn't this
Wow.
the second
Yes,
year?
the second
Yeah,
year.
and Robin and I will be there, but late in the game because we're doing something earlier. Unless the thing we get to earlier is done earlier, then we'll be there sooner. You still ride a bike?
I still ride a motorcycle.
Bill, do you, Bill,
Every day.
yeah. Bill, do you ride a motor? We at Bike Week?
No,
No?
I don't like crowds, so I prefer to ride with just a few guys. But yeah, Daytona Beach is a little too crowded for me.
And Bill, do you ride a bike?
No, I don't.
Do you have a boat? Do you have a boat?
I got on one once, but
Do you still enjoy going to the wharfs?
oh wow, I would sure, if I could afford a sailing yacht or something like that. That'd be right up my alley.
Oh, to go
Oh,
out
that'd
on
be
the boat.
wonderful,
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're remembering the 500th anniversary of Ponce de Leon landing from his boat on the coast yesterday,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It was the 500th anniversary. But I mean, and where do you live now, Bill?
In Ocala at Otaw. I recently married an American citizen, and
Oh.
We have a house at on top of the world.
On top of the world.
Congratulations.
Okay. There's no
on
wharf
your
over there
marriage.
that I can think
Yeah.
of.
No, but we have a place in Nova Scotia too, on beside a lake.
Uh-huh.
So we have a bunch of canoes and rowboats and sailboat and stuff like that.
I'm just imagining that if we went with you to a wharf, to a dock, to the water. I love going to the water, and don't ask me why. I can't articulate why I like going.
People love water.
I don't know why. We go to you know where's a place I like going is in St. Petersburg. There's a place called the Pier, and at the end of the pier they have a building that looks like an inverted pyramid. The top floor is bigger than the bottom floor, so it's like an upside down pyramid. And you go there, and it's just so full of life and activity. There's a pirate ship that's docks there. It's a tourist thing, but it looks real, you know. And there's lots of people out there, and there's sailboats and people fishing. It's just such a and the seagulls, and you see the dolphins. It's a huge dock. It goes way out into Tampa Bay. So I'm guessing if we went there with you, Bill, you would it would stir up a lot of memories. Am I right?
Oh, yes, and I have been there in earlier times. My father had a place at St. Petersburg.
Is that right?
Nice.
You will both be at the library on a week from Saturday. Remember, listeners, this is a very brief event. I don't want you to miss it. I don't want you to go at 2 o'clock and find everybody, packing up their books. 11 a.m. is the best time to get there, because what's going to happen, you're going to be walking from table to table. You guys have your hands full. People will be talking to you.
Good.
And they will stop. So if as a reader, show up, check out the books. There'll be an opportunity to buy the books. You'll meet Bill Crowell. You can talk to him about his book called Wharf Rat, and Pastor Herb Padre Agee. Did I get it right that time?
You did.
My F word is forgiveness. Why is the word "my" in parentheses?
I don't know. That's what they chose to do when they published it.
You had no say so, right? Out of your control. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Fun
Thank
interview.
you.
It was a fun interview, by the way. We'll take a little break, and we will be right back.
Alice!
Yes, George.
Did you know I'm a truck driver now?
What?
I called Devon Self Storage at 873-0777, and John and Mike now have a moving truck.
Are you cleaning out the garage?
Well, I do have time because Devon Self Storage is open late, and they're right across from Hobby Lobby on 200.
You better call them first and reserve the truck.
Why?
Sign up.